You're about to watch me unbox this particular guitar. I want to give you a heads up that I don't realize just how bad things are until the very end of this video and the sound demo. And yeah, it's worth waiting till the end, and then you can see just how bad things are. Up until then, I thought everything was fine. It's not. It's really bad. Hello and welcome to this unboxing of an Epiphone Les Paul Special VE. This one's otherwise known as the Epiphone Special Satin E1 these days, under the new management of Caesar Gherkin. Sorry if I've pronounced that wrongly. They've started renaming quite a lot of their guitars. What's interesting about this one is that I've seen these kind of go up in price recently. It seems possibly like they're discontinuing maybe these budget end guitars, which is actually, fun enough, driving the prices up. This one comes in ebony, vintage sunburst, and I think they call it heritage cherry sunburst. I've got an ebony one in here. Now I'm hoping that I'm not going to have another disaster where there's problems with the guitar and where it's kind of a bit broken or there's something wrong with it. It shouldn't, I'm hoping. This one came to me, this is a nearly new one, apparently barely touched. And I feel quite fortunate to have got it. I've got a relatively good deal on this one. And I'm hoping that there's not going to be anything wrong. So we will get into this and have a really good look. I recently unboxed the Studio E1, which is a wicked guitar. I've got to do a review on that, and I will do a review on this one as well, properly. I'll dive into the specs properly in that video. What I plan to do is unbox this one, show you what it kind of looks like, and I'm hoping that we're going to have something rather nice that we can tinker with. I think that's the idea with these cheaper end guitars. They're either good for a beginner. By the way, actually, I just noticed this was already open at the bottom. So that could be bad news. I'm hoping it's not bad news. We'll find out together, won't we? But they're good for a beginner, apparently, because they're cheap, obviously. But also, the whole point with these is that for somebody who's got a bit more experience or you want to start modding things, it's a great modding platform. I think from my perspective, that's what I'm going to be doing with it. I've got, for example, I've got a slash pickup here, which I plan to put in the neck just for a laugh, and I've got some HipShot Locking Tuners somewhere as well, where I'm going to put those on it, like, you know, just have a bit of a muck about with it really, and have some fun on the channel, and we'll see where we get to. Because I have heard that really the quality of the tuners normally on the specials, that's where they kind of lack on the tuning side. So I know that from experience that I've reviewed the Special 2 before, which is a good guitar. And this is the Special VE. Now, the reason I got a Special VE is because there's some quite big differences between this and the Special 2. The biggest difference is that the Special 2 has a mahogany body, and this has the VE, or Satin E1 as it's now called, has a poplar body, which technically means it should be really, really light. And I play standing up quite a lot. I practice standing up, jam standing up, etc. And so for me personally, the lighter the body, the better. Now I'm trying not to do too much of a hack job on this, because I had a few comments before, people getting upset with me for hacking away. But obviously I try to do this as quickly as I can. So I'm trying to do it speedily, but also in a way which is not going to hurt the guitar in any way. Now it came boxed, which is good for a start. I've had guitars which have just literally come in bubble wrap, which nearly gave me heart failure when I was opening them. I got super worried, but actually they came out okay. This one has come in, it's got a bit of a chip there, but it's the fun starts, doesn't it? The fun starts. Yeah, a box and some bubble wrap, at least it gives me a little bit of, you know, reassurance that it's going to get here on time, because this one actually ended up staying at the warehouse for quite some time. It should have been next day delivery. I've actually been waiting a week. So yeah, I was kind of getting quite worried, because it kept on saying, oh, it's on its way, then it wasn't on its way, then it's coming, but it's not coming. And yeah, it was a bit messy, this one, to say the least. Now, here we go. So we're unveiling it. And there's a little bit of a nick, as you can see there. I think you can see a bit of a nick. You can already feel, it certainly doesn't feel heavy. It doesn't feel sort of normal kind of, because I've got a slash Les Paul as well, so it's nowhere near that kind of weight. Yeah, it does feel pretty light. 2.8 kilograms, 6 pounds, 6 ounces. So yeah, this is a really light guitar, which is exactly one of the reasons I got it. That does feel light. And it's got a few few dings you can see in the light. I think I can probably do something about that. There's nothing too major on there, as long as it's... Now, I did hear that it has quite a nice neck on it as well. Nothing too majorly fat, but but kind of in between. And actually, this doesn't look too bad. It's got a few little nicks and whatnot on it, but actually, overall, this is looking pretty good. Actually, it's quite a few nicks and dings along there, but I think I can solve some of that. I think a little bit of filler and whatnot, and make that maybe good as new. I don't know. It's it's a few nicks. Certainly been loved, shall we say. No broken nut, which is a good start. You can see vintage edition there. So I think we're kind of cooking with gas. Now, supposedly on the Special 2, I think on some of them they called it a C, but actually on mine it was a D as well. So that the neck feels very similar. It's a nice handful without being too much, and feels really good. Now, the thing I do like about on this is actually the VE has a rosewood board as well, rather than the later models which have an Indian laurel fretboard. So far I like the look of this. Playing a little bit of this, just in the run up to doing this. And I really hope that comes through, because this sounds actually amazing and plays amazing. I'm quite surprised and shocked. So I think that sounds really nice and clear. That's treble, that's both, and then neck. Now what I would say, it sounds really, really nice, and it sounds lovely and clear. What I would say is there isn't a huge amount of difference between the different settings, surprisingly. And I adore this neck. It is such a comfortable neck. It's not too fat, not too thin. It's obviously it's the 43mm nut, which we all know and love from Epiphone and Gibson. And the neck, it feels very, very similar to the Gibson Modern Light. I had to go one of those recently, and I suddenly thought, well, you know, I might end up getting one of those, by the way, for the channel and for myself. So campers, I thought everything was groovy with this guitar, and it does play quite nicely. It's a very nice playing sounding guitar. Having said that, oh dear, I just noticed this. You can see it slightly on this side. There's a little bit of a crack there, and if I flip it over, it gets much worse. You can see that crack there. So it runs all the way, like down to about there, or ish. So yeah, flipping heck is all I can say. I'm really annoyed because it seemed to be a good player. That wasn't mentioned in the listing. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. How hard? I mean, I suppose, you know, some of this stuff sometimes it's not mentioned in listings because otherwise people couldn't get rid of the stuff. But I'm going to go back to the seller, and yeah, that is not great at all. So that's probably the worst one I've actually had so far. I've had a nut broken. I've had a chip to the headstock. Those things aren't actually too bad, really. They can be fixed. This is a little bit, I wouldn't call it necessarily terminal, but this is pretty bad once you start getting that, and it needs to be sorted properly. It needs to be fixed up properly to stop it getting any worse. Joys. So yeah, not as simple as I thought this one. Oh, bottom is all I can say. So yeah, cheers. Right, see you in the next one.